So the theme today is no blame, no shame. How might we have constructive conversations on the climate crisis? I had a realization fairly recently that even though the climate crisis is an issue that I really care about, it's not something that I often talk with people about. When actually what I'm really just trying to figure out is how can we have a constructive conversation on this thing that seems pretty significant? Even amongst people who have somewhat roughly similar views, we are silent often because we don't know and all kinds of reasons. And then the question is, not everybody thinks the same way. So how do we open up a conversation when people may have different views? So that's a really important part. People have feelings about this issue. What feelings do you have about this? And how might we create a space where we can hold those feelings? People have different information about this, different assumptions, as Liz just said. What information or assumptions or perspectives are you sitting with? How can we create a space where people can share information or assumptions or perspectives? What small steps are each of us doing right now? However small and however much we might judge them as ineffective in response to the climate crisis. And so this is a bit of a experiment, right? Can we collectively figure out how might we have constructive conversations on the climate crisis?
For me, the scariest things or the most important things or something are often talked about in a kind of hysterical way of just, throwing our hands up and saying it's terrible and nobody cares and they did this and they're doing that and that doesn't help me to talk about it that way. Most of us feel like we're doing more if we're pointing out the demise of the species.
But the point is that sometimes it seems like save the planet is just another form of privilege and kind of self-indulgence, and everything dies and every planet goes away eventually, and solar systems go away eventually. And maybe it's just another attachment, quote unquote, and a kind of human speciesism, privilege, to think that we should be here forever.
So if I had to sum it up in a pithy statement, I would say nothing lasts forever.
I just want to dial back a second to what Liz was saying, because I appreciated it so much what she was saying. Yeah. Because it's like the idea that when we hold on so tight to something, we actually can do more harm. When we're caring about something and want to care for it and take care of it, there is a sense of releasing. But if there's so much holding on to an outcome, it can actually put people off, not even help the process. So there is a sense of letting go, and there is a greater thing that we don't have control over. But the greater question is how to care and give to something without trying to control, without the control, how to be of service without putting other people off.
Our species may go extinct, right? And even if we let go of trying to control the outcome, I think it's really important to be able to have places where we can mourn. Annecy said, "We do not live in balance with nature. There is so much greed and power and control of nature. In Indigenous culture, Earth is our mother that needs tending. Modern culture has separated so much from the balance of nature and its understanding. I work with children to teach them to love this earth to care for it as the mother that it is. A bit of information I wanted to share is that some people really see our culture's inability to deal with death and to talk about death and to honor death as part of what's creating this whole mess that we're in, right? It's like, because we are holding death in shadow so often, it's coming back around to bite us.
Talked about the poem by Thich Nhat Hanh. He says, I am the 12-year-old girl who has just been raped, and I am also the pirate. who raped her." So, you're on both sides of the equation.
I don't have a formed opinion about this topic. I'm just open and wanting to hear. And then I almost felt like that I kind of am outsider in that sense, that I don't even know how to get involved in the conversation if I don't have a strong stand for any direction.
Helped you to go from feeling like, oh, I must have an opinion here. Everybody has an opinion to, no, we're forming opinions. And I can be part of that.
But for me, it's about there being a right way to think about it and a wrong way to think about it, or not thinking about it, not having opinions is wrong. And that we all have our own little communities and almost our rituals of opinions that are the right ones to have. And then actions are supposed to come out of those opinions. And I have to say that I don't have well-formed opinions about many, many, many things about climate change. What Liz says makes sense to me. What everybody says makes sense to me. And I feel all of those opinions as strands of something. But then the thing that is exciting to me is that I thought maybe the world depends on opinions. And maybe the future of the world depends on the ability of individuals to form opinions, which is very new in our evolution and very exciting. And it's something very counter to our instinct, our tribal instinct of gathering under the tent of a particular opinion that's right or wrong, and punishing people for having the wrong opinion and enforcing the right opinion. And then there was something very exciting about that thought that maybe we're doing it now here, and that this edge that we're trying to explore and focusing of fostering not particular opinions, but fostering the ability to create opinions, to have opinions, to have opinions that are furthered by disagreement. I think that's evolutionary.
My difficulty in the dance is I try to make myself the same kind of dance with everyone. And that's the problems of me not being able to, keep up.
This poet, Maya Papa, is a Romanian American poet. And what she says is that she's working on writing poems about the environment. And she states, I found myself fascinated by Noah's wife, a woman unnamed in the Bible, and her role during the flood. I chose to write to her as a way to think about my own role and potential inaction in the current crisis. Letter to Noah's wife. You are never mentioned on Ararat or elsewhere, but I know a woman's hand in salvation when I see it. Lately, I'm torn between despair and ignorance. I'm not a vegetarian, shop plastic, use an air conditioner,
Is this what happens before it all goes fluvial? Do the selfish grow self-conscious by the withering begonias? Lately, I worry every black dress will have to be worn to a funeral. New York, a bullion, eroded filigree. Anything but illness, I beg the plagues, but shiny crows or nuclear rain. Not a drop in London, May through June. I bask in the will by golden hour light. Lately, only lately, it is late. Tucking our families into the safeties of the past. My children, will they exist by the time it's irreversible? Will they live astonished at the thought of ice not pulled from the mouth of a machine? Which parent will be the one to break the myth? The Arctic wasn't Sisyphus' snowy hill. Noah's wife, I am wringing my hands, not knowing how to know and move forward. Was it you who gathered flowers once the earth had dried? How did you explain the light to all the animals?
Sort of venturing out, I see us, finding our way together. And Rosa, you led us in a beautiful way.